And guys, Jerry Miller, thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. It's great to be with you on what is looking like the rain has gone away. That hurricane, the collateral damage of the hurricane, turned into tornado warnings, turned into power outages across Central Virginia, and flooding in Greene County. I was following the news. People had to be rescued at Misty Mountain Campground from flooding. Not every day you see in Central Virginia a mountainous region flooding become an issue. We have seen it in the past. Of course, everyone's familiar with what happened in Nelson County and Scottsville. I don't know, just be appreciative, I guess. And another thing we talked about, no rain the entire summer, then all the rain for an entire summer in a 24-hour period. Today's show is going to take a look at the storylines of the week that was. On a week like Charlottesville and Albemarle in Central Virginia just had, this Mark Brown parking garage storyline would probably be the dominant one of the news cycle, but it wasn't. Wasn't even close. I find that compelling. We'll talk Big Lots closing. We'll talk Shenandoah County Public Schools suing social media companies. We'll talk a statement from Kyle Guy, the newly minted assistant coach at the University of Virginia. We will talk data from Keith Smith's show that I found extremely compelling that I'd love to relay to you again for those that didn't see Keith's show. We'll highlight our partners at Pro Renata, our friends at Pro Renata. Weave you in the mix, Judah. Pro Renata, the Crozet location now morphing into a sports bar. They're doing development in downtown Stanton. They buy the assets of the now defunct Skipping Rock Beer Company. They change the headquarters for brewing their beer. They pick up the genius beer maker from Basic City. This brand and this company is doing incredibly impressive things.
Mm-hmm. They're also adding alcohol.
Adding liquor, cocktail sales.
Yeah.
A farm system for bands with varying sized venues where you can prove your worth in a smaller venue. If you sell out, you get promoted to a bigger venue, with the top venue being the Crozet location. You're talking one of the locally owned beer brands that is having massive, massive success.
Oh, no doubt. It's awesome watching their expansion take place.
What is the totally agree. What is the good afternoon to you, Bill McChesney? What's the storyline you find most compelling today?
I think it's the idea that the question about Charlottesville putting a lot of money into a lot of different places that not all of us agree with, but they're unable to muster, $35K for a fireworks show.
So we'll set the stage on this. One of our favorite viewers and listeners sent us a DM on Facebook. And he said, you talked about earlier this week, the city has $34.5 million more in revenue annually from a single source real estate.
Was it annually or over the course of a few years?
No, it was from Sean's Substack. Let's see if I can find the headlines from there.
I thought it was like 2016 to 2024.
We'll find it right here. You know what I'm going to do to find it is I'm going to go to the show, upload it on IG, and look at the headlines there. Did you not? If you find it, let me know too. Mm-hmm. Here it is. City generated $72.6 million in real estate taxes in 2019, and the city has generated $106.8 million in real estate taxes in 2024. This is yearly, 2019 versus 2024.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he makes the point, one single source of revenue generation, the real estate taxes, is a significant increase. And he makes this point in his Facebook DM that they were able to rally really quickly to extend an $8.7 million loan to Habitat and to PHA.
Yeah.
But they can't find the $35,000 for fireworks show to celebrate the 4th of July and Independence Day.
Yeah. So, and he makes the great point that the firework displays are left to places like Boar's Head, and so people without a lot of money, people who would in the past have gone and just parked somewhere like near.
Parked in the parking lot of the giant shopping center on Pantops, free, and just watched it there.
Oh yeah. I know. We had friends in the neighborhood across the street from the park, from McIntyre Park, and we just go, bring some chairs to the lawn, bring some beer, some watermelon, and have a great time. And yeah, it's a shame that they're no longer putting on a show.
The conversation or the reason was it was too expensive to execute. Too expensive to execute. This is a topic that came up with you and I in our pre-production meeting. Prioritizing affordable housing is critically important. We know that. But also prioritizing our American patriotism and our spirit for living in the best country of the world would seem to me to be equally as important. And
I wouldn't even put it in terms of patriotism. I would just put it in terms of like what most cities do. And one of the draws, like Waynesboro is incredibly smart. They don't have their fireworks on July 4th because they know people are going to go watch fireworks displays at in other cities. So they have it like a week later with a fair, and it's great. Not only do you draw people, but you also have, you've got something fun going on, like a fair, and you've got a great fireworks display. It blows my mind that Charlottesville can't put together a single fireworks display.
It's I guess, it's about community, and firework displays on the 4th of July, as Judah highlighted, as much about patriotism and being an American as it is about creating an event for the community to come together to build community spirit. Mm-hmm. And in our region, in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, the fireworks show has become a pay-to-play event.
Sadly.
And monetizing, with the city unwilling to fund a fireworks show like it used to do in McIntyre Park, it diminishes the community bond as much as it diminishes patriotism. Some of us are championing the city for rallying together to save a mobile home park. Why wasn't that same effort utilized to save the fireworks show? Ray Cadell watching the program, he's one of the guys that helped save the fireworks for a few years here locally.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work. It was an interesting message sent to us by one of our favorite viewers and listeners on Facebook.
No doubt.
A lot I want to cover on today's program. I want to highlight some of the data from Real Talk with Keith Smith. We'll get to that in a matter of moments. I want to highlight something that he said on the show. He said, hey, if the acquisition for the mobile home park is $7,250,000 and the city is lending to Habitat and PHA $8.7 million, that's a delta of roughly $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. If the city is, and that $1.5 million PHA and Habitat have said is for debt service, for the interest, for carrying this loan. And he made the point, which is something that we should make on our show, if the city is lending $8.7 million to nonprofit developers for a $7.25 million acquisition and is getting $1.5 million in interest, did the city make a good deal? He said it. a loan for a 2-year period of time, as Habitat and PHA will now scramble to get grant money or other sources of revenue to cover this note and to pay back the city in full. He said maybe the city made a good move by making a loan like this and getting $1.5 million in interest for a short bridge loan, a period of time that is basically a bridge loan here. That got me thinking. I think that's a point that needs to be highlighted, how he looked at it there.
Yeah.
He also highlighted on the show that as someone who chairs a nonprofit, Keefe does with the land trust, they now have a precedent that they can pursue as a land trust, saying, look, you rallied the funds to buy the mobile home park in just a few weeks. If you're doing it for these folks, then you certainly should be doing it for us.
Yeah.
With the land trust.
That's a good point.
He said that's a precedent that's been set. Other nonprofits can point to.
Yeah.
We've obviously highlighted the precedent with other private developers in the area and what they could do to drive added value or a potential additional buyer of their property. We covered that well on yesterday's program with Wendell and Zero East High Street, and we parlayed it, or we correlated it to Mr. Henry and Stony Point on Phase 3 Dairy Market. So I won't go down that road again. If you want to hear that road, listen to yesterday's show. But another piece of the puzzle that we did not discuss on the show was the ownership of the trailers. The 67 families, the 67 groups of people that are in the trailer park, they, for the most part, own their trailers. And they will continue to get to own their trailers over the next 3 years, with rents being consistent over those time. I think the extent of what they can raise is like $15 a year on the trailers. It's basically rent control.
Yeah.
Over that 36-month period. But after that 3-year period of time, the nonprofits are going to have to develop the property like they developed on 5th Street Extended.
Yeah.
Across from Redfields, across from Mosby Mountain, next to Wegmans.
Yeah.
And the point was made to us by a family member of someone that lives in the trailer park. When this 3-year period of time is over, we go from owning something, having an asset, to having nothing. We're not going to be able to move the trailers we have because, as Judah pointed out, a lot of them are going to crumble or fall apart. And even if we tried to move the trailers, the ones that were in good condition, where would we take them?
Yeah.
Where else could we take them from a trailer park option? Which was another good point. So I think that's another story, another layer to the onion that should be highlighted on the show is the loss of an asset for some of these folks. Now, you can push back and say, is it really an asset? Something that's losing in value, something that's crumbling, something that is difficult to maintain and difficult to transport. And I would push back on that and say it is an asset. It's a piece of the family that lives in the trailer, their identity.
I mean, at the very basicest, is that a word? It's a home.
It's a home. Right. It's like, it's comfort. It's food, shelter. Two of the key parts of being, happy in life. And then you made the point that I thought was really good about going from a home that is detached to one that's going to be
sharing walls with your neighbors,
multifamily, and sharing of walls with neighbors.
That was one of the complaints, is that somebody had, I think one of the current tenants in the trailer park had said they'd spent some time living in the condos that Habitat built, and they said the walls were paper thin, and just it wasn't the same, and they're not eager to move into a place like that.
Vanessa Parkhill, watching the program, she says, I thought the firework display at King Family was a free event. It was. The firework at King Family was a free event, but that was Crozet in Albemarle County and not in the city. Ray Cadell, who's part of the firework committee, said he got a phone call this week from a potentially very large donor, and he said the city never funded the fireworks. They did provide McIntyre Park, though, right, Ray? Give us the dynamics of the fireworks show, if you could, and how they are executed, or how they were executed each year by the city. You know this better than anyone, as part of the committee right there. The point we were trying to make on the program is we're bending over backwards and doing whatever we can, and I support the effort to keep folks in their houses.
Yeah.
With taxpayer resources. And we don't bend over backwards or do whatever we can with the same taxpayer resources to try to build community and champion patriotism on the 4th of July. I mean, 4th of July in the city has become an afterthought.
Yeah, sadly.
Sadly.
I mean, it's gone the same way as First Night Virginia, which I'm hoping we'll get back.
You broke that news on this network.
I'm hoping we'll get First Night back this year.
Are your people telling you that it's going to come back? That's the December 31st New Year's Eve celebration on the downtown mall for families that's not booze focused.
Yeah, I don't have any information on whether it's actually coming back yet. I may soon, because I know the person that...
Without doxing them.
Yeah, I know the person that does the website. But I do know that the torch has been passed. So hopefully the new torchbearer is, I would hope, working on things as we speak, because obviously it's not a small...
You talkist. It takes months to do.
You gotta
just start in the 15th of January, right after the event.
You gotta get bands. You gotta corral all of the different businesses. You've got to have wristbands. You've got to be able to sell tickets on the website. There's definitely a lot that goes into it.
I'll ask the viewers and listeners this question. In the city, which community event is executed the best or has continued to have momentum and withstood the test of time? Not the Dogwood Parade, not the fireworks 4th of July,
maybe the Tom Tom Festival?
Not First Night Virginia.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say I think Paul Beyer does a great job at the Tom Tom Festival, but it's now, hasn't it turned into a one-day
Yeah, I think so.
extravaganza?
Would you say either maybe the Virginia Film Festival or the Virginia Festival of the Book?
Virginia Film Festival and Virginia Festival of the Book are great examples. Virginia Film Festival, a driver is UVA with that one.
Yeah.
What events in the city have withstood the test of time or continue to have positive momentum, meaning the events are growing or getting stronger every year? We're so focused on
I don't know if there is one.
We're so focused on, I guess, activism that we're not prioritizing community spirit.
Yeah. I think we're also kind of fractured. There's it's probably the same everywhere, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is an event that's, to my mind, there's nothing really that I can think of.
And part of it goes back to what you just said with the Shenandoah Public Schools, suing the social media companies. Set the stage on that.
That's an interesting one. They're joining, I believe it's 300 other schools nationally, along with 15 other more local Virginia schools in a suit against TikTok and other social media platforms. And I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that perhaps TikTok and Snapchat, Meta, Google, YouTube, don't necessarily disagree with the fact that maybe they should be held accountable for some of the things that they do. In this particular case, it's about the suit claims the companies are violating children's privacy and data and knowingly created the platforms to get kids addicted. I don't know if they knowingly, but I mean...
You don't think the social media companies knowingly knew what they were doing was going to addict the kids?
I mean...
When the C-suite of a lot of these...
You obviously want anything like a water park.
Okay, so that's a fair point. You're saying
it's part of
good point.
Advertising. I mean, you want a product that...
It's part of product development.
Yeah, you obviously want a product that people are going to want to use. Now, if that makes kids addicted... and here's my pushback. The board, in this case, the Shenandoah County School Board, says has led to mental health crisis among school-age children, and schools are left to deal with the consequences. My only problem with this, my pushback, is that when do the parents take responsibility? Like, TikTok and Snapchat and YouTube, they're not coming into your home and putting an iPhone or a tablet in your kid's hand and forcing them to do anything. And if kids are getting addicted to these things, I'm sorry, but parents need to own some of that responsibility because you're letting your kids not only use a device, but you have the option of taking apps off of those devices or limiting the usage of them. And if you're not doing that and instead deciding that it's a great idea to go sue some companies, I don't know that I find that all that cool.
And why the school's doing the suing?
Well, the school, like they said, they're alleging that the schools are left to deal with the consequences of kids going through mental health crisis because of this addiction. I guess the courts will have to decide that.
I talked to one parent yesterday, friend of the show, father of two, Southside Charlottesville. His youngest was at Mountain View, previously Cale. Pulled his youngest from Mountain View, previously Cale, and put him into private school. And he said this, my youngest was in many of his classes with his classmates in front of a screen watching educational YouTube videos.
That was their teaching?
For much of the day.
Ugh.
If the school is utilizing the screens as well, isn't the school part of the
problem?
A culprit or co-conspirator?
Yeah, I mean, I'd need to learn more about what's going on there, but that definitely would ring some major bells, raise some major red flags if I was a parent and I found out that my kid was sitting in front of a screen at school watching educational videos. Educational
YouTube videos in school for much of the day.
I mean, I'd question what my money is going for. Are we paying teachers or are we paying babysitters? Because it'd probably be cheaper to just keep the kids at home and get babysitters and give them a TV to sit in front of and watch YouTube videos.
John says this, John Blair, maybe a listener can help with this, but when I lived in Woollen Mills as a youngster for a couple summers, there used to be a huge summer party in that neighborhood. I think that's gone as well. As for any event that seems to be bigger, the Halloween on the downtown mall seems to be a pretty big event. Otherwise, I cannot think of anything that's gotten bigger or better in the past 5 years. Yeah, since COVID, name an event in the city that has gained momentum, positive momentum.
Well, maybe it's better to ask.
Thank you for the comment, John.
Leading up to the pandemic, was there anything that was growing that has now been,
Wasn't that for the 4th of July in McIntyre was a big deal. I have many years, my friends and I, prior to getting married, would take lawn chairs, folding chairs to McIntyre, post up, we'd bring a cooler with us, and we just watched the fireworks show.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I had some friends who lived right across the street in that neighborhood around, what is it? Is that Covenant? They're on just off 250. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Right across from McIntyre Park. Anyways, I had some friends that lived in that neighborhood, and yeah, we go over there, sit in the front lawn, have a drink, eat some some snacks.
Snacks are good.
Yeah.
Vanessa Parco giving you props on your
Watermelon.
commentary on the devices. I thought your commentary was on point as well.
Thank you.
We want to highlight the data points from Real Talk this morning. Just put the first chart on there. The car footprint chart. This is data from Keith. He compiled it. I thought Real Talk this morning was exceptional. Look at the trend lines here.
Here we go.
This is comparison of total homes sold and median sales price for the first 7 months of the year, 2016 all the way through 2024. In 2016, in the car footprint, the median value for a home sold, including new construction, was $275,000. This year was $467,000. Units sold through the first 7 months of this year, 2,098, very akin to the 2,065 in 2016. However, the price has jumped $200,000
Yeah.
in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Albemarle County is bananas, carrying the load for CAAR Albemarle County. If you put the Albemarle County chart on screen, let us know when that's on screen.
Do you know which one that is?
That's the one that says Albemarle County up top. I think it might have been the second one here. See it, Albemarle County on second deck, top right corner.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's number 2.
That's on screen.
There it is.
2016 median value 335, 2024 median value 534. Units sold lower than 2016, the lowest amount of units sold through the first 7 months of the year in Albemarle County in a really, really long time. 534,000 now the median value for a home in Albemarle County.
That's crazy.
And I highlighted on previous shows, when these rates continue to drop, you're going to have more buyers in the mix, and those buyers are going to drive the values of these homes upward even more. And I think you'll get more inventory on the market as the rates drop, but not the kind of inventory that matches the additional buyers in the market because affordability has improved.
Yeah. Do you think people are more likely to, a lot of people probably got into houses that they weren't necessarily in love with, and lower rates may be a chance for them to try to find something closer to what they really wanted. But do you think we're going to see more of that, or more of people just refinancing?
I think you're already seeing refinancing upticking double-digit percentage-wise nationally.
Yeah.
Refinance business for a lot of the loan guys is going to be substantial. I think people have to ask themselves this question: do they want to utilize the massive equity they have in their home and get a new house that meets their needs today, where it may not have met their needs when they purchased in 2000, 2001, or before, when they secured very low rates?
Yeah.
I think this time next year, we're going to be looking at Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville, and we're going to be looking at another double-digit year-over-year increase. And at that point, you're going to be looking median values north of 6.
Good
And it's
grief.
basic. The population is increasing faster than inventory is built or inventory is coming on the market, and the population that's increasing is a wealthy one.
I guess that is the question, because is the population really increasing that fast? It may be increasing with people moving here, but I don't think it's increasing in terms of countrywide.
No, locally. I'm talking locally.
Yeah, I know.
And look at some of the demographicers, the folks that do this kind of prognostication. The American population expected to increase as well.
Is expected to increase?
Yeah.
Really?
The American population, was it like 335 million right now?
I don't know.
Population of America. I'd say is it 335? I think that's what it was in 2022, if memory serves correct. I was reading something that it's expected to increase substantially over the next 5 or 10 years. Good data from Keith. Important data from Keith. I'll say it again. If you're going to buy a house, I would do it way sooner than later.
Yeah.
And then you refi. A couple more that I want to highlight on today's program. The statement, what you want to highlight the Big Lots news? This is as predicted, right?
Yeah.
Give the Big Lots news.
Big Lots is closing 300 stores across the country, and this includes our own Albemarle County Big Lots store. I think it's largely due to just lowering amounts of customers, money coming in. Net sales decreased $114.5 million in the first quarter of this year, 10.2% compared to the last time last year. Decreased comps and net sales in all their categories, all their merchandise categories, and they have an increasing long-term debt load, which is hardly surprising considering what's been going on financially in our country. So,
Big Lots at the end had gotten into the furniture business. Did you notice?
I had heard about that.
It used to be a.
I don't think I've ever been in a Big Lots store.
You've never been in a Big Lots? It used to be a grab bag of discounted merchandise that other locations could not sell. And Big Lots would buy it on the cheap, pennies on the dollar, mark it up a little bit, and that was their model.
Right.
At the end, they were getting into the furniture business and offering financing on the purchases to customers that perhaps could not afford it. And then those customers were on the hook to Big Lots for sofas and couches and chairs and lamps and dining room tables.
That's a shame.
That's another vacant storefront.
Yeah.
More to come.
Mm-hmm. I believe there's something. What was it? F24. Something else I recently heard is closing in Stonefield.
It was the F5 gym.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was a gymnasium that was closing in Stonefield.
Mm-hmm.
I initially saw it as the movie theater, but it was the gym, not the movie theater that was closing.
Yeah.
Two other items out of the notebook that I want to highlight. There was a statement released by Kyle Guy, the new assistant coach at UVA. Mm. And Kyle Guy on his social media said, I understand that you guys are angry with Virginia as it pertains to postseason performance. And then he said, I also am unhappy with how the team has performed. Then he said, I'm excited to contribute to the reinvigoration of this program, and no one takes this harder than Tony Bennett. A couple of items I want to highlight from this. Number one, I like that Kyle Guy's on the coaching staff. I like that Kyle Guy is excited to help Virginia basketball in a postseason capacity reinvigorate or get back to 2019 national championship standards, help contribute to reaching those standards again. And then the next one is this. I'm curious if Coach Bennett talks with Kyle Guy about making statements like this. He is the lowest coach on the totem pole at UVA with its coaching staff, and you don't see Tony Bennett coaches speaking on the record or using their social media to talk about the basketball program. Does Coach Bennett say, hey, Kyle, welcome to the team. I know you're hungry to reinvigorate the program as well, but please allow that communication to come through me, the head coach, just like everybody else on the coaching staff is doing.
Yeah.
I appreciated the statement. I wonder how Tony Bennett's going to handle that statement with his assistant coach who's been on the job for 48 or 72 hours.
Yeah.
What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, man. Probably going to hang out with my dad a little bit. He's back from a trip, and I think he's feeling better. He's been a little under the weather for the last week, which I think comes from sleeping in airports. He had some interesting. He had an interesting trip.
I was excited to see him in the studio the other day.
Yeah, it was
Jim
unexpected.
Friday edition of the I Love CVille Show. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller on a Friday. Enjoy the weekend. The sunshine is coming out. This place is going to dry off. And support the businesses, folks, we want to see make it, because it is tough out there. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody.